9. Lots of Lego. The Tokyo Express cargo ship was on its way to New York from Europe. Just as it entered the Atlantic Ocean, 20 miles from the UK's coast on February 13, 1997, it tipped to one side, causing 62 shipping containers to tumble into the water. One of the containers was filled to the brim with Lego, and over the next 25 years, bricks and minifigures have been washing up on the surrounding area's shores ever since. The Legos usually don't even look like they've been in the sea at all, staying in good condition despite being tossed by the waves. After the spill, many people combed the beach for pieces, especially since there were some rare figures lost like green dragon figurines, worth a much higher value than their black counterparts. One of these collectors is Tracy Williams, who's still noticing the toys washing up to this day. She's also found other lost items and uses her finds to show the impact plastic has on our seas and oceans. Tracy has even done a comparison of 2 Lego base plates from 1997, one from a box and another that's been inside the sea for 25 years. Aside from a small amount of marine life, the pair were basically identical. Experts at the University of Plymouth have estimated that it would take between 100 to 1,300 years for the plastic to start breaking down. It's not just Cornwall where Lego has reappeared. Pieces have also been found in Wales, Kent, Guernsey, and County Kerry and Ireland. Some even made it to the Netherlands. Have you ever seen Legos on your beach? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe while you're there. 8. The tour boat Phoenix. In July 2018, a Thai tourist boat called the Phoenix set off from Phuket to the island resort of Koh Ratcha. There were 101 people on board, 89 of them being tourists. Normally, this would be a routine voyage, but the weather and sea conditions had recently picked up. As a result, ships were urged by authorities to avoid travel. The boat made it to Koh Ratcha with no issue, but on the return journey, the ship was hit by massive waves, causing it to flip over and capsize. Those on board scrambled to get to lifeboats, but many were trapped in the hull as it overturned. Sadly, 44 people were killed in the sinking, with 3 others still unaccounted for. The loss produced a public apology from Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha to China, since most of the passengers were Chinese, as well as those who visited to meet the survivors in Phuket. The owner of the vessel was also charged with negligence for continuing travel despite warnings. The Phoenix rested at 147 feet underwater for months after the incident. Eventually, in November that year, it rose from the seabed. The boat is now covered in brown and green marine life and plant growth, despite its short time underwater compared to other wrecks. Hopefully, the recovery has helped bring closure to many families affected by this disaster. 7. Sea Angels. Sea angels are glowing creatures with soft fluttering wings and long draping gowns. They move gracefully through water as if they're flying and have captivated ocean explorers for years. It might sound like we're talking about some sort of mythological creature, but sea angels are actually real. They're a type of shellless sea snail, but this doesn't make them any less fascinating. The most common types are scientifically referred to as Clione lamachina and Clione antarctica. They're pretty small, growing only about 1.5 to 3 inches in length. Part of the reason these creatures are so beautiful is the fact that they're slightly transparent, giving them a glowing appearance. To add to this, because their skin is see-through, their internal organs are visible to the naked eye with a beautiful orange and pink color. Something not quite as heavenly though is the sea angel's diet. They eat sea butterflies, which are another type of sea snail. They can pluck one out of its shell and eat it whole within 2 minutes. A fact that is a bit more beautiful is the mating ritual of sea angels. Already a stunning sight while swimming on their own, when 2 sea angels mate, they swim around together for hours, swirling like ballroom dancers. They also switch gender as they age, starting out as males and then turning into females with time. 6. Rubber ducks. Rubber ducks are normally reserved for bathtub time, but in 1992, the loss of a cargo ship container filled with 28,000 of them and other bath toys means you can now find small yellow toys floating across the ocean. Although the ducks were originally sent to the US from China, They were meant to be in stores instead of washing up on beaches. They've even ended up on the Atlantic beaches of Maine. One man who started tracking the toys is named Donovan Hahn, a journalist who's now written a book about his experience. Some of the ducks were even picked up in remote parts of Alaska at a site called Gore Point. This spot is so far removed that the operation to get rid of ducks and other plastic waste took months, and the resulting haul had to be airlifted away. The effects of plastic in our oceans, like the rubber ducks, is an ongoing issue that concerns many scientists and governments around the world. But there is a silver lining when it comes to these friendly floaties. Schools use the story of the duckies to help kids learn about ocean movements. They even track where the toys are now. 5. Barnacles. Barnacles are also called ice fingers of death, and it's easy to see why they got this nickname. These long shards of ice shoot down into the ocean like the sharp claws of some sort of monster. First discovered in the 1960s, barnacles are a rare natural occurrence that only happens if conditions are just right in the planet's cold polar regions. Ice on the water's surface begins to snake down to the seabed, creating an underwater icicle of sorts. This happens because the makeup of sea ice is much different from ice in your freezer. Ice on the ocean's surface is made of two components. The ice crystal itself is pretty pure, since the freezing process removes most of the water's salt. Because salt water freezes at a much lower temperature than pure water, the residual seawater remains in a liquid state, forming salty brine pathways inside the porous ice block, like veins through a body. When cracks occur, the salty water leaks out. Since it's denser than the water around it, it sinks to the bottom, freezing as it goes. The barnacle will then seep across the seabed, freezing everything it touches in a river of ice. Marine life isn't even safe when a barnacle forms, and often creatures like starfish and sea urchins end up trapped in icy clutches. So, when you think about it, Ice Fingers of Death is a fitting name. 4. The mysterious object in the Baltic Sea. In 2011, Swedish treasure hunters called the Ocean X team made a surprising discovery at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. The object sitting on the seafloor had steps seemingly carved into it with an alien design. Some of these sonar images taken at the site make it look like a spaceship, similar to the Millennium Falcon. One of the explorers, Peter Lindbergh, kept the location of this object secret, but had interesting theories as to what it was. He believed that if it was man-made, then it must have been created before the last ice age, over 20,000 years ago. The fact that it's underwater then suggests that it could be an artifact from the mythical city of Atlantis. Details and images have been shared with scientists and experts, and many are left perplexed. Geologists have ruled out its formation by a volcano, although others have their own theories. Some scientists have been unable to offer an opinion, since the samples provided by the Ocean X team were not enough to work with, being composed mainly of sandstone, granite, and gneiss. The sonar image also doesn't give them too much to go on, since the quality is too low to give definitive answers. The prevailing belief of experts is that this is simply a rock shaped by the glacial deposits of the Ice Age, which coincidentally makes it look like a man-made structure. But without further dives being conducted at the site to get better imagery and samples, who knows for sure? 3. The sunken city of Dwarka. Indian civilization was always believed to have emerged between 3,000 and 6,000 years ago. But the discovery of artifacts from the lost city of Dwarka have changed this. Historians now say it could have started 9,000 to 15,000 years ago. According to the Mahabharata epic, Krishna created the city of Dwarka to avoid wars with Jarasandh, a rival king. The city was said to be full of opulent palaces made of silver and gems. With advanced architecture and city planning, including a network of connected streets with temples and marketplaces, it was a city unlike any other. The Marine Archaeological Unit of India started underwater excavations near Lothar in 1988 after finding pottery that predated the Indus civilization. They thought this might be a good place to hunt for the City of Legend. Although they found artifacts like jewelry and 3,500-year-old crumbling structures, a group of students found the most promising evidence. At the Gulf of Cambay, below a depth of 70 feet, they found a street network with sandstone walls, large pieces from structures, and copper coins. The artifacts were tested and over 9,500 years old. Further discoveries led scientists to the conclusion that they actually found the city of Dwarka and that Indian civilization went further back than anyone first believed. But how did such an amazing city get lost under the waves? Experts have ruled out an earthquake or tsunami, but that leaves two other theories. Either there was a change in the seabed's height, or the sea level underwent a rapid rise, swallowing the city whole. The latter of the two explanations is more believable, since a similar event happened in Bahrain around the same time. 2. The bubbles of Cascadia. You'd probably expect sparkling water inside a champagne glass, but not at the bottom of the ocean. But bubbly water is plentiful in the Pacific Ocean's Cascadia Fault, thanks to a phenomenon known as cold seeps. The bubbles formed might look fun, but they're made of methane gas. Cold seeps are identified by methane bubble streams that travel through seabed sediment. There are about 1,000 confirmed methane jacuzzis along the fault, covering about 497 miles. The large amount of gas is caused by the area's extreme tectonic activity, which increases the gas's production. You may think that this would make every living creature want to avoid the area like the plague, but there are some species of marine life able to thrive in the conditions the Cascadia Fault provides, some of which you can't find anywhere else in the world. Tube worms, mussels, barnacles, crabs, rockfish, anemones, and clams are among the new animal groups found at the cold seeps. Although it may seem like a steady stream of methane gas would be bad for the environment, the impact of these sites is minimal. It's all thanks to microbes living in the sediment of the fault and many others around the globe. The microbes absorb and use methane as food with the process called chemosynthesis, which means that by digesting the gas, they can create different chemical compounds, which not only provide an environment for other species to thrive in, but also a filter so the methane is contained. 1. The oldest intact shipwreck. In October 2018, archaeologists discovered something they thought had been lost to the history books. Lying at the bottom of the Black Sea, 1.2 miles below water, was an ancient Greek ship, the likes of which had only been seen on artifacts like the Siren vase inside the British Museum. Even though it was deep underwater, the ship's condition left researchers like Professor John Adams and his team at the Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project stunned. The ship measured about 75 feet in length and still had its mast, rudders, and the rowing benches once used by sailors still all in one piece. What makes this all the more remarkable is that the vessel is believed to be around 2,400 years old. The depth of the ship was found to have contributed massively to keeping it intact. Researchers found low levels of oxygen near the site because of how far down the vessel is, which would have meant marine life and bacteria would not be able to survive and consume the wood. Although there are no plans to raise the merchant ship from the seabed anytime soon, its discovery will continue to help us to understand more about shipbuilding and seafaring in the ancient world. Thanks for watching. Which one of these underwater finds were you surprised by? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye.